Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the board to order, and I wish to acknowledge that our meeting is taking place on unceded and unsurrendered Algonquin territory, and I'd like to thank the Algonquin Nation for hosting us on their land. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Trustee Lyra, seconded by Trustee Boothby. Is there any discussion on the agenda? If not, I'll call the question on the agenda. All those in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried. I'd like then to move to the next item, evidence of practice. Madam Director, would you like to do the introduction?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. At this point, I'd like to invite the team from Vimy Ridge Public School to join us at the front. We have this year started the practice of engaging in discussions around evidence of practice, and the purpose is to provide trustees in a small window into some of the work that our teaching staff as well as our students are engaged in on the ground in schools with the voices of our teachers, of our staff, of our leaders, and of our students to illustrate the work that's happening. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Superintendent Baker to introduce the team from Vimy Ridge.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair, it is my honor and privilege to introduce you to all of these wonderful students from Vimy Ridge, and the principal, Cheryl Sevigny, and Vice Principal, Sue Christie, are here. I'm doing a very brief preamble before I turn it over to them to introduce the students, and the students have a lot to share with you this evening, as well as a PowerPoint up on the screen that will help them and you hear about the wonderful things that are going on there. Very briefly, and the report is before you and you've seen what's in there, the focus for this evidence of practice is on environmental education. The staff and students and community at Vimy Ridge have embraced this as a passion project with many links to a variety of areas, including the curriculum. And so they're here today to share some of those aspects with you. Of course, many of these practices and variations on these are replicated across the district, but they would very much like to speak to you about how they have chosen to focus their efforts. So with that said, I will turn it over to Principal Sevigny.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, my name is Cheryl Sevigny, and I am the principal at Vimy Ridge School, and I am joined tonight by some of our grade 5 students. And I am going to let them introduce themselves and also give them a chance to test the microphones.
Hi, my name is Baron. Hi, my name is Jenna.
Hi, my name is Alyssa.
Hi, my name is Danica.
Unfortunately, one of our team was not able to attend tonight because he's sick, but our group here has figured everything out and are very excited to share some information with you. I'm just going to start you off and speak very briefly, let you know that Vimy Ridge is in the rapidly growing community of Finley Creek in Gloucester. It opened 2.5 years ago with a population of about 450 students, and we're projected at just over 900 for next year. So very exciting. And last year was my first year there, and I quickly noticed that we had some individual students and staff that had a real passion for the environment. And what I did notice is that they were working in isolation. So as a community, we were challenged to find a way to bring the whole school together and build on this passion and motivate our students, our classes, our grade level teams, and our divisions to want to do more and to want to embrace environmental education. So with the help of school council, we decided to participate in something called the Stream of Dreams program.
In the Stream of Dreams project, we had fun learning about the importance of water and the need to keep it clean. Every student from kindergarten to grade 8 attended a workshop and learned about the importance of clean water. Painted a wooden fish in their own unique style to symbolize their commitment to the environment. Here are two lovely kindergarten students from our school that enjoyed and had fun painting their fishes.
This is our Stream of Dreams. It runs along a back fence that faces Finley Creek Drive. It's an invisible spot so many people can see it.
These are examples of some of the initiatives taking place this year at Vimy Ridge. These are our intermediate students at the Finley Creek Boardwalk. They were doing water quality testing with the South Nation Conservation Authority.
These are our kinder students planting saplings, and our junior students cleaning the yard for Clean Up the Capitol. As grade 5s, we have been most involved in the creation of our outdoor roof garden and the recycling program. Projects like these help us develop the characteristics and build the skills we hope to acquire before the end of high school.
We have learned to set goals and work hard to achieve those goals. Our short-term goal is to successfully grow plants in our rooftop garden and share our learning with other students. Our long-term goal is to create a sustainable community garden. In this photo, you see a volunteer helping us. This volunteer is a landscape architect.
We have learned about overcoming challenges. We struggled with our recycling program at the beginning of the year because the job was too big for just the grade 5s, and we could not maintain the recycling center. We used critical thinking to come up with a solution. Here are some of the students from our school helping us with the recycling.
We have become more aware of caring for the environment. It helps our local and global community.
We have used our knowledge of science, including sustainable materials, life cycles, and structures. Math, including perimeter, area, and metric conversions, along with literacy, including research skills to create our garden. We have worked as a team and shared ideas so that we can work through mistakes together.
Finally, we have learned how to be effective communicators. Look at what a great job we are doing right now.
We are proud of the work that we are doing at Vimy Ridge Public School. The future looks green.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for the work you're doing at Vimy Ridge. I suspect there are several people around the table here who would like to ask some questions, and I don't have anybody on my list at the moment, but Trustee Schwartz and Student Trustee Wujawara. Trustee Schwartz, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for coming out this evening and talking about your projects that you've been doing at Vimy Ridge. I work in the environmental field, so I run an environmental organization in my day job. So I'm always really, really happy when I hear kids that are actually working on like conservation issues, which I do on a day-to-day basis. So my question for you guys is, with all of the stuff that you've been doing, like with the South River Nation conservation area, your recycling programs and so on, what do you think might be the next project you guys want to work on?
Planting vegetables and flowers.
Moving on then to Student Trustee Widjura.
Thank you very much, and through you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, first of all, thank you guys for coming out. You guys should be very proud of yourselves. You guys have achieved a lot more than a lot of high school students have. You guys should be very proud that you actually care about your community and you guys are giving back. So kudos to that. My question to you guys is, how could we as a board further support your initiatives? Do you have any challenges that you faced that were maybe unresolved? Thanks.
Well, during the recycling program, when we would go to dump out all of the plastic and paper, all of it would get everywhere in the recycling center, and it would just become a huge mess.
And finally, Trustee Penny.
Thank you very much. That was totally awesome. I really enjoyed it. But I would like to know one thing from you guys, from anyone that would care to answer, and that is, if you could tell Prime Minister Trudeau the one thing that you've learned from this, what would it be?
That the project was really fun and we had lots of fun learning about it and different stuff, learning about new stuff every time.
Well, probably we learned a lot about area and how to find the area of the garden. So that.
Thank you all very much. I'd like to invite Trustee Jenkins to make a few closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. That was enjoyable. Actually, I did have a question. Have you been able to take what you've learned through this program home to your parents? Have you improved your recycling at home?
It certainly can be a big challenge with adult learners who sometimes do not learn quite as quickly as students in grade 5 seem to be able to learn. So how would you like to come forward, all of our student presenters and Trustee Jenkins, because I think we have a few things to say thank you.
So I'd just like to thank Vimy Ridge School, the students and the parents who came out this evening, and we have gifts for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That worked out well. You got the blue one and you can. Okay.
Thank you.
And then this one is for the student who was not able to come. Maybe you can just.
moving on again with our agenda. In terms of my briefing this evening, I'd like to begin with a labor update. The Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation has announced that it intends to hold another one-day strike in school boards, including the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board, on Friday, the 28th of February. If this takes place, all OCDSB schools will be closed to students on the 28th of February, and the extended day programs will be canceled. The Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario will not be holding any strikes this week or next. However, the union will be putting in place some additional work sanctions effective on Wednesday. We will continue to contact parents with further labor updates. Secondly, February the 26th, tomorrow, is Pink Shirt Day. Members of our school community are encouraged to wear pink tomorrow in honor of Pink Shirt Day. Schools across the OCDSB will be taking part in events including assemblies, classroom activities, and more to raise awareness against bullying and to support those affected by bullying. So let's all stand together against bullying in schools, in the workplace, and online. And finally, Black History Month is drawing to a close, and our schools have had numerous activities such as book clubs celebrating Black authors, school-wide assemblies, interactive displays, and lesson plans focusing on Black culture and history. On February 28th, the Afro-Caribbean Mentorship Program, in partnership with Carleton University, is hosting its second annual Black History Month event, Empowering Our Future. Director Camille Williams-Taylor will be one of the keynote speakers at this event, which will celebrate and honor Black people who are making outstanding contributions to Canada today. And finally, I would just like to add that I think all of us should honor and appreciate the contributions that are being made on a daily basis in our schools by all of our staff and students of African descent who do their best every day to make our schools better places, and who all need to have the opportunity to learn more about their own history and their place in Canada. Their contributions are very good. Thank you. Are there any questions? If there are none, I will go on to the director's briefing, and then we will go to the report from board in camera.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. OCDSB 2020 Volunteer and Community Member Recognition Awards. Nominations are open for the OCDSB Volunteer and Community Member Recognition Awards. These awards are a great opportunity to recognize our volunteers who have made such an important contribution to our schools and continue to do so. The awards will be presented at the Volunteer Appreciation Reception and Community Recognition Award Ceremony on May the 6th. Visit our board website for details. Osgood Township High School has been awarded $25,000 US grant to support a student-led virtual reality game. This Epic Games Mega Grant is a particular honor for the school's programming, as it is usually awarded to post-secondary institutions. Epic Games was inspired by the early work done by our students in partnership with the OCDSB's Experiential Learning Division. Congratulations to Osgood Township High School. Careers in constructions and skilled trades are fantastic opportunities for our students. The Ottawa Construction Association will be hosting a 2-day symposium and trade show on February the 26th and 27th. This event will include a special youth engagement zone for students to take part in hands-on demonstrations and learn more about jobs in construction and skilled trades. The OCDSB will be leading a carpentry competition for students at this symposium. And that is my update.
Are there any questions for the director? If there are none, I would like then to go back to pick up item 4 and ask the vice chair to present the report from board in camera.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. The board met in camera this evening and reports and recommends as follows. On a motion by Trustee Boothby, which I will second, that staff proceed as directed in board in camera with respect to a human resources matter.
Thank you, Trustee Penny. We had our discussion in camera, so I will call the question now so that we can vote in public, and this will be a recorded vote. All those in favor of the recommendation?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Blackburn, Trustee Huff, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jenikins, Trustee Penny, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed? And abstentions?
Trustee Campbell.
So the motion is carried on a vote of 10 in favor with 1 abstention. Trustee Penny?
That concludes the in-camera report, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We have no delegations this evening, so that brings us to matters for action. Item 8.1, confirmation of the board minutes from the 28th of February 2020. Someone like to move receipt? Trustee Huff, seconded by Trustee Schwartz. Are there any errors or omissions in these minutes? If none, I'll call the question on the minutes. All those in favor? And opposed? And the motion is carried. And with regard to the minutes from the 18th of February 2020, our special board meeting, would someone like to move those? Trustee Jenikins, seconded by Trustee Lyra. Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? I'll call the question then. All those in favor? And opposed? And that motion is also carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes of either of these previous board meetings? Seeing none then, I'm looking to Vice Chair Penny for receipt of the Committee of the Whole report from the 4th of February 2020. Trustee Penny.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'd like to move receipt of the report from the Committee of the Whole on February 4th, 2020.
Is there a seconder for that? Trustee Huff. Are there any errors or omissions in this report? If not, I'll call the question on receipt. All those in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried. Trustee Penny.
There are no recommendations contained in the report, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Moving on then, receipt of the Committee of the Whole budget report from the 4th of February 2020. Trustee Schwartz, you're moving receipt? Do we have a seconder for receipt? Trustee Jenikins. Are there any errors or omissions in the Budget Committee report? If there are not, I'll call the question on receipt. All those in favor? And opposed? And the motion is carried. Trustee Schwartz.
Madam Chair, I'd like to introduce the recommendation in the report on folio 59 on a motion by Trustee Evans, or Trustee Lyra, pardon me, which I will second. And the recommendation to approve the in-year deficit elimination plan attached as Appendix E to Report 20-003.
And I believe attached as Appendix A to the report from the Budget Committee. So is this a consent item? I'm seeing no objection, so I will call the question on a recorded vote. All those in favor of the report of the recommendation to approve the in-year deficit elimination plan?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Blackburn, Trustee Huff, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jenkins, Trustee Penny, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed? And abstentions? And that is carried unanimously among those present. Anything else in your report, Trustee Schwartz?
There is none.
Thank you. That brings us then to the Committee of the Whole report from the 18th of February, 2020. Vice Chair Penny.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move receipt of the report from the Committee of the Whole for January 21st, 2020.
And is there a seconder for that motion? Trustee Lyra. Are there any errors or omissions in this report? If none, I will call the question on receipt. All those in favor? And opposed? And that motion is carried. Trustee Penny.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. On folio 69, on a motion by Trustee Schwartz, I will second that the school year calendars attached as Appendix A and Appendix B to Report 20-022 be submitted to the Ministry of Education as the official 2020-2021 school year calendar for the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board's elementary and secondary schools attached as Appendix A and B.
And is this a consent item? I'm seeing no objection, so I think we might as well just go directly to the vote. All those in favor?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Blackburn, Trustee Huff, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jenkins, Trustee Penny, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed? And abstentions? And that is carried unanimously by those present. Trustee Penny.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And on folio 72, on a motion by Trustee Schwartz, I will second that, and this is as parts A to G. Do I really have to read them, Madam Chair, verbatim? Yes. I will. Yes, it's not Trustee Schwartz, it's Trustee Boothby. My mistake. So I'll read them. A, that future students moving into the Fernbank Elementary School, K-6 attendance area, who are in kindergarten year 1 through grade 6, be directed to Westwind Public School as of September 2020, subject to the sibling provisions outlined in Recommendation C to Report 20-004. And Part B, that current 2019-2020 year 1 and year 2 kindergarten Young elementary school students who reside in the new Fernbank Elementary School K-6 attendance area be redirected to Westwind Public School for year 2 kindergarten and grade 1 in September 2020, subject to the sibling provisions outlined in Recommendation C to Report 20-004. Part C, that incoming year 1 kindergarten, September 2020 and beyond, while the redirection is in effect, and current year 1 and 2 kindergarten, 2019-2020 students who reside in the new Fernbank Elementary School K-6 attendance area, but who currently have an older sibling in grades 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 for 2019 and 2020, attending John Young Elementary School be provided a one-time option to remain at John Young Elementary School. Part D, that recommendations A through C to Report 20-004 shall remain in effect until such time as the anticipated new Fernbank Elementary School is opened or until other accommodation measures are approved. And Part E, that upon the opening of the new Fernbank Elementary School, all of the students who reside in the Fernbank Elementary School boundary, including those who remain at John Young Elementary School, and those who have been subject to this redirection in accordance with recommendations A through C to report 20-004 move in a block Year 1 kindergarten through grade 5 to the new Fernbank Elementary School. And Part F, that the only exception to the redirection outlined in Recommendation E to report 20-004 shall be those students entering grade 6 and their younger siblings who are attending John Young Elementary School, having exercised a one-time option to remain. And finally, Part G, that the student transfer period be extended for a 2-week period to 3rd of March 2020 for current John Young Elementary School students or their siblings impacted by interim measures to apply for a transfer to John Young Elementary School or Westwind Public School.
Thank you. I'm surprised that you haven't lost your voice yet after reading all of that. Is this a consent item? I'm seeing no objections, so again, I will call the question on it on a recorded vote. All those in favor?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Huff, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jennings, Trustee Penny, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed and abstentions, and that again is carried unanimously. Trustee Penn.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So in a motion by Trustee Schwartz, which I will second, that the extended day program fee remain unchanged at the basic rate of $22.50 per day effective September 2020 for students who attend the program full-time. And Part B of the motion, that the full-day fees for optional days of care in the extended day program remain unchanged at $35 per day effective September 2020.
And again, is this a consent item? And that means I can go ahead and call a question on a recorded vote. All those in favor?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Huff, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jennings, Trustee Penny, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed? And the motion is carried unanimously among those present. Trustee Penny.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And on Folio 75, on a motion by Trustee Campbell, which I will second, that the board approve the establishment of a lead supervisor position within the early learning department.
And is this a consent item? I will call the question on a recorded vote. All those in favor?
Trustee Boothby, Trustee Huff, Trustee Campbell, Trustee Ellis, Trustee Jennings, Trustee Lyra, Trustee Penny, Trustee Bell, Trustee Schwartz, Trustee Scott.
And opposed? And that motion is also carried unanimously. Trustee Penny.
And finally, Madam Chair, on Folio 78, on a motion by Trustee Campbell, which I will second, that the revisions to policy P.074.IT, Information Technology Security, attached as Appendix C to Report 20-020, be approved as amended, attached as Appendix C.
And is this a consent item? We have a question. Trustee Campbell, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd asked last time whether the use of the word classification referred to classification of data or of physical assets, and staff were going to come back with the reply, and they were going to consider the question. So I just like to know.
Through you, Chair. It does refer to classifying sensitive data on our systems, as well as how we put security safeguards in place around who's able to access it.
Great, thank you.
Does that mean that there is a need to make any further amendments in this to ensure that classification clearly refers to classification of data in the report? I think I would like to have it non-consent then. I'm sorry. So anything else in your report? Trustee Penny?
No, Madam, that concludes my report, the report for the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you for that. And that brings us to our non-consent items. For this, I would appreciate it, Trustee Penny, if you could take the chair for this.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah. You have the floor.
I don't have the floor. Whoever was the mover of the information technology security policy
And
should
is,
have the floor.
okay, that would be, the mover is Trustee Campbell.
Not to repeat again, what we have before us is a vast improvement what originally was circulated, and I credit staff for a lot of hard work.
Any discussion? Trustee Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the Committee of the Whole meeting, I had asked to have clarification of the word classification in section 4.3, but I didn't have language at the time to put into that. I see that staff have made some improvements in the wording of section 4.3 so that the overall clause of the policy is much clearer now. However, I would like to make sure that classification in this context refers to classification of data and insert the words of data following the word classification. So that's my motion to amend.
Thank you very much, Trustee Scott. And is that also your introduction?
That is.
Very good. Discussion? Trustee Lara?
Just a quick question to staff. Does this meaningfully change the sentence that it was previously in?
Through you, Chair. No, it does not.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further discussion, back to Trustee Scott.
I guess, Mr. Chair, I'm asking if it's friendly.
Oh, yes. Is this friendly? And it appears that it is. So are we calling the question then? I guess we are.
Go back to the mover for wrap-up if there is any.
Oh, going back to the mover. Looks like the mover doesn't have anything additional to add. So, call the question. All those in favor of the amendment as classification of data?
Of the motion as amended.
Of the motion as amended.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed?
We're on a recorded vote here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're on board. So it's a recorded vote.
Trustee Boothby? Trustee Huff? Trustee Campbell? Trustee Ellis? Trustee Jennekins? Trustee Penny? Trustee Lyra? Trustee Bell? Trustee Schwartz? Trustee Scott?
Opposed? And seeing none, that passes, and it's back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Penny, for that. Moving on then with our agenda. We are at the report from our OPSPA representatives, and I see we have some notes that have been provided to us, so I would like to invite either Trustee Boothby or Trustee Penny to give us the highlights. Trustee Boothby?
Thank you, Chair. So I'll leave it most of you to read, but there are a couple of sections to note. The first part, if people are interested in finding out what OTSPA's GSN submission was, the topics are highlighted there, and the full submission, there is a link there for you. The province has just started out a couple of weeks ago a poverty reduction strategy survey, so I'd invite you all to take the link and respond to that. So the province has some good ideas on how to help that. Next page, OPSPA for 3 years is going to do a $1,000 scholarship per OPSPA region. So we are in the eastern region for one student. And this is a brand new scholarship, so we're looking to establish the criteria for this scholarship. So if there are any suggestions on what that criteria would be, please send that information to Trustee Penny and myself by Friday at the end of the day. There's a very short turnaround. They're hoping to have this all, the criteria sorted out and the nominations done by the end of the school year and the scholarships awarded. There's also going to be a Take Your MPP to School week, April 14th through 17th. There will be more details on that coming. Legislative update, there is Bill 172 that's just been enacted, and that requires school boards to develop policies and guidelines around fetal alcohol spectrum. As well, teacher colleges and early childhood education programs will be required to provide training with respect to fetal alcohol syndrome. Other than that, if there's any specific questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
And are there any questions for our OPSPA directors? Trustee Huff?
Just a question pertaining to the scholarships. What was the original intent of the scholarships? What was the goal line behind them? Because that would inform our thoughts about what the criteria might be.
So thanks for the question. So OPSPA ended up with some money that was left over from MPAC, essentially, when MPAC changed its name. So we're really without any kind of criteria. We did have a discussion in our region about it on Friday night, and there was a feeling that it would be nice for this scholarship to go to children that don't often get nominated for scholarships. So maybe we'd want to look at certain types of children, like perhaps Indigenous children, or maybe children that were had a portfolio and skills or something like that, but to go to a different profile than the students that typically are receiving scholarships already.
Trustee Lyra?
Also on the scholarship, is it intended to be 1 year or is it intended to be recurring?
1 year, and OPSPA has enough money for 3 years in a row, one student per region.
If there are no other questions for our OPSPA directors, I will say thank you very much for providing these reports. We have no new matters for information before us this evening, so that brings us to new business. Is there any new business? And if there is none, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you all very much, and safe home.